We're alive.
Okay. I'm going to call the Arundel Planning Board meeting to order. Today is November 13th, 2014. It is 7 p.m. And first order will be the approval of the agenda. We will have approval of minutes for September 25th and October 23rd. We will have a time of public comment. We have two pending applications before us. Stone Ridge Farm Gravel Pit with Mark Welch, and the Arundel Seasonal Cottage Preserve request to amend conditions of the subdivision surety bond. We'll have some land use ordinances that we're looking at, specifically the Gateway District design standards, and a report from the planner. Okay, that is the agenda. Does anybody have anything that they want to add on there? Okay, we need a motion to.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimous. Oh, I did I? Oh, I need to do a roll call. Thank you.
Yeah, Marty.
Bob McGinn. Bob Coon.
Rich Ganong.
Ted Ridgway Planner.
Okay,
And the public.
and the public. I want to thank all of you for coming up. It's nice to see a lot of people at the meeting. I will ask that when you have a comment that you would state your name so that we can capture it for the record, because our new secretary may not recognize your voice. Now,
Should introduce her.
we should introduce her. This is Marie Bergy.
Hi.
She's been hired by the town to be our secretary,
Howdy.
for which we are eternally grateful, and Ann is definitely in her gratitude. Okay, so let's start with the minutes of September 25th,
Which have been amended.
which have been amended.
Make a motion that we approve the amended minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Everybody here who's there.
3 in favor and 1 abstention. I was not here at that meeting. On to October 23rd. Were there any additions or corrections that anyone saw?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
You need to abstain because it wasn't present.
3 in favor, 1 abstention. Public comment. Does the public have anything that is not on the agenda that they would like to address? Okay. Seeing no comments, we'll move on to pending applications. Stone Ridge Gravel. There's a proposal to renew the existing mineral extraction permit for a 10.5 acre gravel pit located on the south side of Curtis Road on the property identified as tax map 23 lot 4 in the R4 district. Stone Ridge Farms Inc. are the owners, and Mark Welch and Sons are the applicant and the agent. Okay, we've all got our packets. We did a site walk, and unfortunately we don't have the minutes here because Jamie had this one.
Okay.
You want to make a mention who was at sidewalk? Fill in the blanks.
That's a good question, because I'm trying to remember. I was there,
I was there.
Bob was there,
You
Roger
were
was there, and Marty was there.
And Jamie.
And Jamie, that's right.
Because he's not here, he'll be in the minutes.
Sorry. Okay. We have, Mark has asked for a couple of waivers on the permit. If you look in the packet, the first waiver was a waiver for the survey of the completed parcel because he's working under the portion that is under the lease agreement that was clearly identified as area 1 and 2 on the plans, and we have granted that waiver in the past.
We granted the waivers at the October 23rd meeting.
Well, we said we were not gonna do that until after the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's right, we were gonna wait until after the site walk to do that. And And then the second
The
waiver,
the minutes are pretty clear. It's been moved to grant the two waiver requests for motion, Summers, seconded by Moran. The Kinder and Asphalt Summers progress have been made, et cetera. There's a whole write-up. And then we move to amend the standing motion that the approval of the waiver contingent upon positive findings of the sidewalk.
okay,
So it had been approved unless the sidewalk had negative findings.
and there were no negative findings on the sidewalk.
Correct.
So then we will deem that these waivers have been approved.
Have been,
That's it, waiver one.
And waiver 2 was for a new topo of the contours, because they're still working on the grading plan that was provided in November 2011. And we're going to grant that waiver as well, correct?
correct. No, we did.
Yeah, well,
Unless
we're gonna,
we found them out of bounds for the grading that was there.
and we did
We
not,
did
we
not.
found everything fine. Mark, do you have any comments?
I don't.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Welch?
I just mentioned the two things for approval of this that was found on the sidewalk, that we believe in. Mr. Planner, you can come in or tell us at any time. But in our discussions, we believe that we would only be able to provide renewal of this application to the end of the current lease term for that period of time. Mark actually has the right title and interest. Second, the group that was there of the board felt that it would be appropriate to provide a condition on the approval that would give Mr. Welch a 2-year extension should he, as the applicant, be able to secure a 2-year extension on his lease.
I believe it runs out in December of 2015.
Yeah, December 31st.
Right. And we were talking about, the permit is a 3-year permit.
It's any length of period, it's up to 3 years, it's any length you want to establish it to be.
Well, our debate centered around the issue of saying, okay, if we issue him a 3-year permit, because his lease expires in December of 2015, can we make it provisional to that point, and if he renews his lease, he can have it for the other 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Question for the applicant or anything else. If his lease is not renewed, does the property reverts to the prior owner?
Yes.
Would that still, if it stays as said, wouldn't that turnaround permit be granted to the prior owner?
No, the permit belongs to Mark. It belongs to the.
I'm just asking a question.
Oh, no, I understand.
For clarity.
The permit belongs to the
That's a
applicant.
good question.
But that's another reason.
It's just a clarity question.
Okay, so the only other issue I believe on this is the public hearing. So,
Through the chair,
yes,
I would suggest that you deem the application complete and move it to put in the schedule public hearing date for the first meeting in December.
okay. Can I get a motion to that effect?
Question
Yeah,
for
Mike.
that. Did we not say when we were gonna have another public hearing, we were gonna schedule this public hearing with that one because it's closer? When's our next public hearing that we have scheduled?
Tuesday.
November 18th, not enough time to
Not enough time.
I thought at the sidewalk, we discussed it.
We did discuss it. I talked with the town planner. There wasn't enough time to publicize it and get it out. He would not have been able to get it into the paper before the Wednesday, which would have cut out the 14-day period of time.
Okay, that's the only reason, that's why I had the question of the public hearing, because we discussed it at sidewalk to expedite.
Well, it's all, I don't have any issues.
No, I
There's
just,
no problem.
I'm just bringing it up to what we had.
No, I know we
You
had
said December
discussed
1st?
that, right?
The first meeting in December, which would be probably 2 weeks.
I believe, yeah.
Motion or still be one? Well, I was going to
No,
go
it's
down a little date.
And the 11th.
The 11th? Make motion that we hold a public hearing on December 11th,
I'll second that.
7 o'clock on this.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to hold a public hearing. All those in favor? It's
I
unanimous.
can get them on the same
As long as we
agenda.
have a quorum.
Yep.
Everything should be taken care of.
Everything should be set to go.
At 7 o'clock.
Yes, yeah, we'll put that on the agenda for approval that
I'll give
day.
you the notice. Send you those.
What was the date again?
December 11th.
That's a regular meeting.
And next up, Arundel Seasonal Cottage Preserve. Request to amend the conditions of subdivision surety. A request to amend the instrument and the amount of construction surety required for Phase 1 of the approved Arundel Seasonal Cottage Preserve to be developed on 294.3 acres located at 1976 Portland Road, map 11, lot 9, and map 15, lots 6, 7, 9, and 13 in the R1BI zone. Arundel Kennebunkport Seasonal Cottage Preserve LLC are the owners applicants, and the owner's agent is Joseph Paolini.
Excuse me, Mr. Planner, as a point of order, just point out that we haven't voted on whether the applicant was complete.
Thank you.
So before we go any further, we just.
Would you make that motion?
I'll make a motion that the previous applicant, Mark Welch, his application was complete.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Good catch.
Thank you. Good catch.
Thank you, and I'll see you then.
All right.
Take care.
You can say.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
That's all right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. I saw Joe come in.
He's
There he
nice.
is.
Oh, see, he's just like us short people.
Short,
We don't
yes.
power, we don't power over
I
everything.
had to make room for that gentleman, just walked out. And we apologize, the one night we don't bring an easel.
Oh,
Did we just use
the
the chair? Put it right in the chair? Yeah.
You always bring an easel, so I didn't bring one.
Yeah, I know, I apologize. I'll get out of here. That's gonna bother the people behind us. No, it's okay, I'm fine.
Either that, yeah, either that, bring it over to this side, so that everybody can see it.
Yep. Are we picking you up, Dan?
No, that's okay.
All right.
See if they can swing it. If you're gonna adjust the board, I'd ask that you go in the center there, so I could, yeah, so I could get you on the camera.
Okay.
Will that zoom in far enough to see it? You're back in your chair, Dan. You're more comfortable there, probably.
Chairman of the select gonna be the cameraman. Oh, yeah, that works. No, you're good. I can't see anything, but that's okay. Can't see anything.
You got a parallel park there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Right up this way.
I'm running Dan.
Can't. He's hiding over in the corner.
I'm Joe Paolini, and you know Rick Light, he's our lead engineer. Rick and I have been at Destin for about 12 years now, so hopefully we're finally getting to the point we're going to be breaking ground. I brought Kim White, who's the Director of Marketing and Sales for us. And in the back is Philip Grondin Jr., who is Ken's cousin.
Yes.
And Ken is on vacation, but we're finalizing some aspects of the contract while he's gone. He'll be back Monday, so we should be in good shape. One of the things that I wanted to ask the board is that before we start work, you know, we have to have that tri-party agreement. That's the vehicle we're going to go with. I've sent some information to Tad today about our joint venture partner, the family down in Connecticut who has the financial arm for us, and they're also affiliated with People's Bank here. And so we're trying to work out those details. It may take me another couple of weeks. And I wanted to ask you folks if we could start Monday, for example, with just doing some protection of the sensitive areas like the vernal pools, the wetlands, and start maybe demolishing the house, which I have to pull a permit for, but we have all that hazardous study done and we have all that detailed information, plus do a few other things and maybe start cutting some trees. But in the interim, we'll put all the details together. One of the things that we don't have is, because Ken has been on vacation, is we have the breakdown of the different phases, but we need to break those phases down even further to identify line items so we can put dollar values to them, so that that's what Tad and you folks can look at when we start the work and say, yeah, that value, that work is completed, so therefore it's okay to release. So if you would allow me to start work Monday, Grundon folks are ready to go, we're ready to go, but we're not going anywhere. There's no mortgage on the property, and we're not using a bank. That's why it's taken me a while to put together this joint venture with these folks, because they don't need a bank. But if you check with some of the information I've given you, especially with the local bank and anything else you need, you will find them that they're pretty financially sound. So that's one of the reasons why we chose them, because we want this to move forward without any outside influences, really. We can do it all internally. So it's one of our requests. What we have here basically is the second part, is to introduce you to the community center that we need to bring back to you folks and get that approved so that we can start building that. One of the things we'd like to do by next May, June, is to have 3 or 4 models and to have the community center on the way, in addition to all this other site work we have to do. So it's phase 1A, 1B. 1B includes this community center. In phase 2, the total is about 63 cottage sites. And so that's what we're starting this project with. Plus the front entrance, we have a lot of work we have to do there, dressing it up and making it look very appealing as people drive up and down Route 1. That's one of our main focal point. So we have some architectural renderings of what it may look like that we'd like to share with you tonight. So, yes?
Joe, also, isn't it part of your first phase is the turn on, to make the right-hand turn done?
To make the right-hand turn, no. That, there's about 1,100 lineal feet of work we have to do to Route 1. That is deceleration lane, acceleration lanes, and stacking lanes, but we don't have to do that. The DOT is, with the traffic study we did, we don't have to do that for a while. We may do that down the road a little bit, but not right now.
The only reason I ask that is because I've seen it all marked.
That's for CMP. They're relocating telephone poles for us. They're getting them onto our property, basically. That's what they're going to be doing. So we've met with them. They're going to be relocating them, and there's 2 particular ones. They're spreading out and raising the lines so that when you're on the property and you're heading out because of the elevation, they won't look at you right in the eyeballs. They're a little bit higher, so they're doing that for us. But that's money we're spending for that, too.
That's for sight distances, Marty. You may remember that was required.
Yeah, that's why I figured earlier you were doing the right-hand turn.
Not
Coming
yet.
on that side,
Not yet.
okay. With all the blasting, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, quite a bit of plastic. And right now, we're testing the wells, testing your well, your son-in-law's well, and there's a well across the street. We'll be contacting you shortly and notifying the abutters that we're going to stop blasting. We met with the fire chief yesterday and the chief of, I think the sheriff too, but they want to be told when we're going to be blasting, so we got a kind of a program set up yesterday where we're going to be notifying them every time we decide to blast. And we'll also keep the neighbors informed when we start blasting. If you'd like, I can have Rick take you through this.
No, I have a question for the town planner on this one. You're asking us to give you approval to tear down the house in the front and to do some tree cutting, but is that not all part of the sales area and the model units that we approved
Yes, it is.
last year.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to why we would have to give you permission again. That's where I got.
Because I don't have the tri-party agreement in place with you folks, which is part of the.
Part of the original condition.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, so we're working on it, I think, between Ken and I and Tad and the bank, we can try to have this done in a couple of weeks. So it isn't like we're going in there and we're gonna start digging for water, sewer, and laying pipes. We're just doing some preliminary stuff so that when the time comes, it'll all be in place.
okay.
That's what I was asking for.
Because I was looking at that going, I'm confused.
Well,
Which is not being
if I
surprising.
could, Mr. Chairman. Well, I think one of the problems was that perhaps a misunderstanding of what instrument we were going to use for surety on this. And I think Joe was under the misunderstanding that the board was requiring a traditional performance bond, which is an extremely expensive instrument these days and very difficult to get, when he's doing a cash operation. And that's, I think, when we came to an understanding that the tri-party agreement is built for that kind of situation, in which the entity, the bank, usually holds the money and then it's dispersed, as each piece of work occurs, then it's dispersed. And since we've already established regular construction meetings on a bi-weekly or a bi-monthly basis.
Once a month, to begin with.
That is once a month, and then it'll go bi-weekly. Then that would fit in there properly. So I think we've come to an understanding that the tri-party agreement is the instrument we'll be using. We've had a lot of success. That's the one way we primarily use that, and letters of credit. But the tri-party is the one that gives us the best bang for the buck, because the town doesn't have to hold the money. The bank holds the money, and the money is not allocated to the contractor until the work is performed to all the various parties' satisfaction. And so it's a ongoing progressive process, which you don't have to tie up huge amounts of money, but at the same time we ensure that we have enough money to be able to do the project. The work is done, and the work is done to the satisfaction of all the parties before it's released. So it's actually one of the best instruments we can use. And I think Joe understands, the value of that, and so we've got to put it in place, but they want to start cutting it a little bit. We probably can't get it together.
Could I add one more item?
Absolutely.
R.J. Grund and Sons Inc., they will be fully bonded. As a matter of fact, Phil showed me, he emailed me while I was traveling up here today, the letter, basically, that allows them to be bonded, that I will send a copy to Tad tomorrow. So the first 3 phases, in phases, as we do the work, there will be 100% bond in place from R.J. Grund and Company.
Good, thank you.
Okay?
Before you continue with that, would you like to make a resolution
Yeah.
on this, Mr. Chairman?
I would.
I think there's a question.
Yeah, I have a question. If there's no bonding, how are the neighbors protected? I know that you're protected, I understand what you just said, but how am I protected? If something should go catastrophically wrong on that project, how am I protected?
It's not a bonding that would protect in that situation. What we have is, what we do when we do our performance assurance is to make sure they do the work that has been approved by the board. Make sure they put in the infrastructure that they're supposed to put in. In a situation like that, then that's a problem with the permit. And so that would be a land use issue that we would deal with the code enforcement officer. There's no money surety to.
Well, I know along the process, they promised to make sure that nothing happened to my pond, and I believe what they said, or I would be fighting it more than I have. But that's all I'm concerned with, is that nothing catastrophic is gonna happen to my property.
May I?
Well, I was just gonna say 2 points. One, you indicated that this was gonna be some of the minor construction in this first phase.
Correct. Well,
No,
no,
none of,
the first few weeks, until we
where
get
the
the
mod
tree.
unit is,
Yes,
that first area.
right.
So there's not going to be any blasting.
No.
When the blast permits are issued, that's where you'll get some of the protection for.
Well, they've already been over and videotaped my foundation, and I know that they're trying to do the right thing, and I understand that, but I just wanted to make sure that there
That's
is
where
some
those
protection.
protections come in. That's all.
Yeah.
blasted before. I'm very sensitive to the abutters. If I were in your shoes, I'd be concerned. But one of the things we do is we do the videos, we watch, we see, and if, once the blast takes place, if there is a problem, Grondin folks, ourselves, Rick, other consultants, will basically hear from you and we will take care of you. But
Okay.
we're not here.
I know that, Joe. I believe you, and
Thank
but I have some concern.
Yeah, so when we pull the permit, all that stuff will come into play.
Okay,
And we'll keep you posted.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Question on the tri-party agreement. Is this agreement gonna cover all of phase one initially?
It's gonna cover pieces as we go.
Okay.
Tad and I talked about it. If we could, we can say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, let's say, the next 3 months. Identify that in the dollar value. Maybe that money gets put aside. And so therefore, at the end of a month, when I get the requisition from R.J. Grondin, then I'll share it with Tad. He's gonna have to inspect the site to make sure that work is done. Then there's gonna be signatures that go to the bank that releases those funds.
Okay. That's what I thought you were saying, I just wanted to clarify it.
Yes, but in the past, usually tri-party agreement or anything else, like through the bank or anything else, you have a complete amount there, bottom line, and then you draw from that.
Yep.
Instead of turning around and saying, okay, doing it in, well, this is what this little section of it's gonna be. You have the whole basis to know, quote unquote, the amount.
Yep.
Instead of turning around and having bits and pieces.
Well,
I'm not trying to discourage you, Joe, I'm just trying
no,
to.
we have phase 1A, 1B, and 2. So what I'm saying is phase 1A, the whole project, it's not a secret,
No,
just to put the infrastructure in.
Right.
Forget about building anything, forget about the work on Route 1, forget about the landscaping, forget about the community center and the models. We're talking $5.6 million.
Right.
It's pure ledge.
right,
So what I'm saying is, the money will be available. I mean, that's why we don't have mortgage on the property, that's why we don't need a bank, because of the people in Connecticut, okay? However, why tie up 5.6 million? We're not working on the 5.6. We're working on this portion, and what we're doing in that portion is this 1, 2, 3, 4, before we go on to the other. Now, if we decide to go on and create a value of greater than what I've identified in a plan in phases of the sub-phases of the phase, then he's gonna be the first to know, because he's gonna see what's going on. Rick has a responsibility of his license, he's not gonna lose his license, and I'm not gonna create a problem for you folks now for we've been working together for 12 years. What I'm trying to say is, it's an expensive proposition here. To tie up $5.6 million doesn't make any sense, especially when there's no mortgage on the property. Because even before I can put a mortgage on the property, you folks are gonna know about it. And it looks like we may not put a mortgage on the property. And if we do, it ought to be just when we build the units. But that'll be individuals, which by then, a lot of the work will be done within that phase, not the other phases. So, am I asking for some relief a little bit? Yeah, just so that you understand the complete picture. Because we probably got $1 million just to build a community center. We probably got another $300,000 or $400,000 just in the landscaping. There's a lot of ledge we gotta deal with. And there's a lot of walls we gotta build. There's a lot of beautiful things we wanna build, like ponds and gardens, to make it beautiful. So when you see some of this stuff, I think you'll understand what we're trying to bring to the town. And we do have a logo. And I think when you see it, you'll see that it does do what the town wanted to do, and that is, let's put Arundel on the map. It's, I'm pretty proud of some of the things that we're doing. Want me to show it?
Well, let's resolve this
Well,
first.
my question would be to you, is this a hardship for you to have to go through this process?
What, the tri-party?
Yes, the
Oh,
tri-party.
I'd rather have it all
staged
in
out.
escrow, sure, I'd
Well,
rather have the
of course you
5.6 million right in our pocket right
So,
now.
Thank you. I would too.
There is nothing that prevents us from having the surety set
In phases, we've
in
had sub-phases.
agreement with the town planner and the applicant.
right,
And
I
Marty's
just want-
right, I want to speak to what
Yeah.
Marty said, because Marty's correct. You know, on all the projects we've done before, we require them to give us the money for the whole smash. But we also have to remember, these are projects relatively small, they're not phased projects.
Yeah.
And you've never had something
So
this
now-
big either.
Exactly.
Southern Maine Marine might be a good example, they have 3 phases, they've only given us the money for phase 1 and 2. And we did not require them to give us the money for 3.
Well, why I'm asking that is because I had phases of mine, okay? No, phases in mine within the construction period, okay? But the total amount set was declared as what it was. Yes, it went through the bank, and yes, everybody had to sign off along the way. But, you know, there was like a phase for,
Yep.
and that's why I was asking that particular question.
We can identify the total value of phase 1A, 1B, and 2, individually and total. That would be identified. What we're asking for is to work within each phase. Help us in that respect.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think it makes total sense. And so,
Yeah, as long as it's done by phase, there can be no more damage than what's unfinished in each phase, so it makes sense.
part of that money, should they not do their performance, is either to finish the work and or to get it back to looking halfway decent anyway.
If they fail, the town's not gonna take over
Yeah, right.
and build the cottages.
No, right.
We'll close it up, see
That's
it
my
over,
point,
and
well,
that's-
you
yeah.
know, fill it back in and say,
We're not.
I've done the next.
If I could, through the chair, I think that's a good point, because I think sometimes, I mean, each board has a different way of looking at performance guarantees and sureties, but essentially, the way we look at it typically is, the surety is in place so that if the project goes belly up and the developer walks away, there's enough there to take care of all the health, welfare, safety, the erosion control, the stormwater, the things that affect the environment, and the things that you have control over. It's not to be able, like Ted said, for the town to go back in and build the rest of the project, because ultimately what would happen likely is it would go up to auction and somebody else would purchase it, continue the infrastructure. So the idea of having the full amount for all the infrastructure isn't really, to me, the point of the performance guarantee is the protection of the public for those other issues that are more environmentally related.
And also to ensure the applicant has the money to perform the
Yes.
project.
Marty?
One question, Joe, along this line of the first phase, everything else. Are you developing it in such a way that besides you would have your sewer or anything else, because that is most essential, okay?
Septic, yep.
The septic and everything else, is some of the basic infrastructure besides the sewer gonna be for laying out some of the phase 2 and phase 3? Or is that, I mean, so it doesn't also affect your residents of phase 1?
Our
You
intent.
see where
I understand, and we're concerned about especially the blasting, the heavy work, that, in working with Ken Grondin, all that heavy work is going to be done in the winter. Usually when most of the people are gone, especially January, February, and March. That's when in April, when all this heavy work is gonna be done. Later on, it's gonna be building the units themselves. Yes, there may be some work going on in terms of laying lines, sewer lines, and water lines, and all those things, landscaping, retaining walls.
You only can do that at a certain time of year, I realize that.
Yeah, but the heavy work with the blasting, the crushing, and all of that, we wanna do during the off-season. That's what we've discussed, and they're willing, the Grondin folks have agreed to that. So that there's some peace and tranquility, and Kim can sell units.
Dick, you'll be in Florida. You won't hear it.
So you won't be around when we're doing the blast.
No, but my stepson will. be.
Yeah, you'll be watching.
You'll be the eagle of the eagle.
And seriously, any abutters, anytime, God, I'll give you my cell phone number, just call me. Kim lives in York, she's not far away, and Rick lives nearby, and if you have any problems, just call us, and we'll make sure this thing carries. And I know that RJ Granda has the same commitment. There will be a full-time system project manager on board from their office. Harold, I can't think of his last name. Harold. Thank you. Okay, so there will always be somebody around.
So it'll be coffee donuts all the time.
But you're invited
Both
to
will be
stop by
invited.
anytime you
Come
want.
on and visit. Does anybody else in the public have any questions about this project?
Dan Du Bois, are you gonna go over what you're gonna do with phase 1B, I mean 1A?
Yeah, I'm gonna have Rick do that for you.
Yeah.
He'll take you through this. It's gonna also deal with some of the landscaping that we're doing for phase 1A and 1B. And we're gonna be putting the models, and we're gonna be putting, it's gonna be a model, but also a sales office, if you will, and then the community center. And we have the preliminary community center footprint that we want to share with you, that I know we have to submit formal documents for you folks to allow us to move forward with it. Okay? Rick? Oh, before I leave, the logo. Hope you'll like it, guys. A lot of months and a lot of time went into this. There's the Arundel, there's the A, as promised. Basically what that is supposed to be is the cottage, one of the cottages. But if you start thinking about it, with the A, with the scroll, that's like Eastern Trail, and the trails within the property. You can look at this as a main road, where does it lead you to? Kind of gives you that feeling of, wow, what's out there for us? You got the trees, you got the ocean, you got the blue skies. And basically it's Cape Arundel Cottage Preserve. There's a history here.
Is that the pyramid?
That's not the we went through a lot of painstaking, and the folks that came up with these concepts, they're pretty, there's about, what, 6 or 8 of them? And us, and Rick was involved, and a lot, they did their homework, and they looked into the history of how Arundel became Arundel. And I have one more hearing coming up, and I will share a paragraph that someone came up with that explains Arundel. So it's really, I mean, it shows Arundel, and that's what it's all about, and that's what we're trying to do. So hopefully people will realize it's a beautiful thing, really. It's unique.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Rick.
I don't know, unfortunately, we've only got the small scale board, and I'm gonna lay out some interesting stuff, but, for the public and for the board, you know, this red is phase 1, as we call it, because we were the colors, so we didn't have to stick with a particular sequence. We broke in phase 1A as the entry road, the first 11 units, the first cluster, and there's a sales parking area, sales office, all this area up in here, stormwater pond, landscaping and entry work. Phase 1B is further up Patriots Way, the main road, and then the second little loop right here, I know it's probably kind of hard to see from where you're sitting, that's 21 units, and the community center, which isn't here, which I'm going to go over what we're thinking about there, and the beginning of the wastewater system, which is down here. You remember the wastewater system is designed so that it can be built segmentally in phases, basically 5-phased wastewater system, depending on the phase we're in and how many units are going to be going into that. And the second phase, we call second, this is 1A, 1B, the second phase, we're going to go right into the green phase, as opposed to, we looked at the logistics of maybe starting down here, but I think from a marketing perspective, we felt this is heavier on the ledge, heavier on the infrastructure, but from a marketing perspective coming in. So this will be, it just sits better, this would be the second phase. And then the commercial lot at some point, not really talking about it now, but I think we're going to sit down and look, Joe's going to sit down and talk to Ron in it about maybe opening that up, doing some crushing and making some pad sites so you can market the commercial site. But right now, we're not talking about that. So in terms of details, what we wanted to show you is sort of, it's a concept plan, but maybe what the front phase, this is a blow-up of the front phase 1A, or a portion of it, actually it's all of it. 1A, the main access road, remember, with the double barrel entry, the turn lane to the right, the driveway into the commercial lot up in here. And what we've tried to do is get to a point where we've got a gatehouse. It says, so when you get to the gatehouse at the top of the hill, you're into the private sector. This is still sort of the public, domain. And what a little change we make, when we come back with the community center, we may come back with a little change. We have permitted a parking lot here, a small lot with a driveway and the sales office. We've looked at it, we're thinking of moving it up here. We think it makes more sense to have a loop for two reasons. One, it's closer to the Adams Lane here for walking. We can have a trail and a golf cart path. And two, if we get vans bringing people on, small, short buses and vans, they can come through and drop off and loop around. And again, you'll recall that we had originally permitted the water booster pump station, which doesn't have to happen, so there was a long driveway to get to that. And so we've got this whole, basically, hillside here to landscape, and we'll work up a detailed landscaping plan. This is a wetland area being protected. This is our first stormwater pond here. And we're going to try and work that into a water feature whereby we have actually water, it's a stormwater pond, a wet pond, but actually make it part of an amenity from the roadway. So we've got the stormwater pond, and we're looking to preserve the existing well, which is behind the old Southern Maine Nursery building. We're going to have that tested. I'll talk about this well
That
in
was
Jason
Crystal
Mills.
Lake,
I'm sorry?
that was Crystal Lake Motel.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's a while back.
Before our day. It's a little history. But we're going to try, we're actually going to do a drawdown test on that well to see if it's still, there's no power there. If we can get that to suffice, use that for an irrigation well, we can have sort of a water feature as part of the wet pond, trickling down into this, which is an existing old wet pond, which is now just a wetland, kind of a muck hole. We've talked to the DEP about allowing us to, under our permit, to clean that out. And I think they're going to let us do that. So we have this really nice sort of landscaped amenity. And then, so the whole entrance area will be landscaped. The other side of the drive here will be landscaped. We'll have a series of walls and that sort of thing is shown on the plan here. And we'll have a detailed plan. And then this is the first, Adams Lane comes in, first 4 units, units 5 through 11 in here. And we'll have some walls probably off the ledge. This is a ledge knob in here. And the infrastructure for 1A stops basically here, sewer, water, underground electric, 3-phase coming into the community center, et cetera. And this is the second pond, by the way, which is again a man-made wetland, and this is sort of the headwaters of, I think for the stream, there's a stream that starts on the property line here that goes to Dick's Pond. And some of this drains this way, and I think some weeps through and comes out this way. So we'll have a crossing here, and we're going to ask the DEP to review that so that we can, right now it's just cluttered. I think it was created half by its stump though. If we can work to clean that up and make that more of an amenity, which is really important because you want to come in and see, this is going to be a focal point of the whole project as you come in, this and this. So we really want to work on how that sort of creates your first vision of the project. So that's phase 1A. And
Rick, one correction, the models are gonna be on Route 1, we changed that.
Route 1, I'm sorry, yes.
Not those.
These right here, I'm
The
sorry.
first 3, and then Kim will have a model, which is one of the cottages up there.
The sales office will be a
Yeah,
model
okay.
unit actually.
Okay,
here.
where's Route 1?
Route 1 is here, and this suggests that these were going to be the first 4 models. We've decided to put them, from a marketing perspective, in here. Build the roadway, there'll be parking in here for visitors to come in, but basically that way, folks can come in, they can be they can take a golf cart over to the models, and Kim can lead them through, and then take them on a tour of the site from there. We'll be using golf carts for marketing, but also golf carts is the prime motive, besides walking and biking, of course, when the whole project's operational. This really wants to be more of a golf cart, not an automobile community, to the extent that you need to otherwise leave, come in, park your car, take your shoes off, and have it basically as a really relaxing community.
This doesn't appear to have very much changes from the original commission where they were going to be.
No, there's no change in the unit locations, no. The only thing we're looking at is moving this, what was it, you can't see here, a parking lot here with a roadway that was going to the water booster pump station. Moving that parking lot here, maybe using this as overflow, like a gravel overflow surface.
we're trying to have public transportation, so people wanting, one of the things we'd like to do is have minibuses or try to get the trolley there, so that people don't use their cars. It's not necessary to take them, for example, to restaurants, to shopping areas in the immediate area, to businesses, to whatever they need to do, and try to minimize the use of cars. So we will have a parking area and a turnaround area for those public vehicles.
And without further ado, I
Right,
think.
I got a question.
Oh, sorry.
The idea of, this is something that possibly never have come up, okay, so I may be throwing a wrench here, okay? The fact is, with the golf carts, if individual owners of the units want a golf cart, okay, to go running around to do whatever they want, besides walking, okay? Do you have a thought or for the winter months when those aren't going to be used, to have a place to store those golf carts, which, like I said, this is something maybe throwing a wrench into.
Well,
But, I mean, it's a thought that
We've
I'm,
thought about it. One of the things I've seen in other communities is that those carts are covered. They have a tarp, they cover them, and they put them near their unit. That happens. Another thought is that the people that we purchase, or they purchase them from, that we're gonna lease with, because the ones we're going to have to run people around are gonna be leased, they're gonna take them away during the winter months and
Okay.
store them. So there's that opportunity as well.
I was just thinking of something out of
Sure.
realm.
No, it's not out of realm, but because it's important.
Okay. The next piece, as Joe mentioned, what we'd
I have
like
a
to do
question.
is,
Rick?
I'm sorry, Dick, I'm sorry.
Where are you planning on putting in the first cabins? Where Joe just pointed out, yeah?
These
How
three
many
right
feet?
here, and the sales unit will go probably here.
Is that gonna go down to ground level? Like
No.
ground level with Route 1?
No, that's on top of, this is the ledge knob, it gets
Yeah.
leveled off, if you know that knob very well, it's
Yeah, I do.
basically there's a couple of large erratics up there in ledge outcrops.
How
That gets-
high are they going to be, do you know?
I'd have to look at the plan, but I think basically we're taking the top of that off and leveling it off a couple, I'd say 3-4 feet, and more or less leveling it, creating a landscape area in the middle. We'd love to save some of the ledge in the middle, I don't know if we can, because we've got a pump station here. But they're going to be up. What this reflects is stone walls, which is really because if anyone's been to the site, what it's talking about is from Route 1, I couldn't tell you the elevation without getting on my hands and knees and looking at the contours, but it's probably a 20-foot, 25-foot rise from Route 1 to this ledge knob here. So these are going to be very prominent, but we also want to maintain this vegetation. We're going to flag some of the mature trees here. That's going to be up where they are now. It's going to be nice. It's not going to be taken
Not
all
gonna
the
be
way
brought
down.
down to ground level?
Yeah.
We don't want them down there.
No. I just wondered how much ledge you was gonna blast out of there.
Probably
Have
3
any
or 4
estimate?
feet, I would say, about that, Rick?
Yeah,
3 or 4
on the
feet.
top there, yeah. And then there'll be some walls built around the edges here, as it's shown.
So there's going to be grass around the cottages, is that correct?
Yes. Landscape.
And what kinds of, really projecting ahead, what kinds of chemicals are going to be used on those, and are those going to then flow into this gentleman's pond and destroy the flora and the fauna?
I can't answer that
No
specifically.
chemicals, they'll all be
I think we just
natural.
go the
We've
green
done
and-
projects where we just basically go green, we
Organic.
don't want chemicals. They're bad for the environment, they're bad for the neighborhood, they're bad for our project. Matter of fact, one of the things we're gonna do is we're not gonna use public water for irrigating when we have wells throughout, so that way it'll always be green. We don't have to worry about, dry spots. But no, I don't want chemicals.
And that's a really good question, because it's important to understand that the grounds, being a condominium form of ownership, the grounds will be maintained as limited common areas by the maintenance staff who will be on site. So it won't be one cottage maintaining their facilities one way and another way. I mean, they'll all want to maintain their own
No, I
gardens.
understand that, I
Yeah,
just
but
wondered.
that's an important
I was
question.
concerned, because he's concerned about his pond,
Yeah.
what's your runoff going to be?
Right.
In addition to that, we have to be concerned about the wetlands. DEP will not allow us to dump chemicals in there.
Any other questions on the phase 1?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just, if you're gonna landscape around there and you've got ledge as your base, and you're not gonna be putting in feet of topsoil, you're gonna be putting inches of topsoil in there. So you're not gonna have any large vegetation in there, you're gonna have basically shrub and ground covers.
Shrub, ground cover, and tree, what we would do, and this is one of the discussions we had with Brian the other day, I'm doing this exact same thing on another site, which is completely ledge, probably a little more than this. And we're working very closely with our landscape architects. We blast the holes, and then where we want to put large tree balls, we drill those and break those up so they can put root balls in with the ledges. So it's, and at the end of the day, the landscaping gets built up. Typically, it's going to be, the landscaping will be built up in mounds, and it can be done very successfully. But the idea here is not to have a totally manicured site. It's to work with the whole beauty here is to keep some of these ledge outcrops. Like we talked about with the board, with the ability within these windows to move these units a few feet. If we see a ledge knob, we want to blast it and it breaks right, and you want to keep that character. That's part of the whole sort of the art part of putting this together. But you're right. I mean,
The beauty of this site is you're going to get different aspects. You may get rock gardens in one area, and you may get terrific landscaping in other sections. You know, that's just lush with green and trees and all of that. Here in the front, you're going to get a lot of rock gardens, that kind of play. Low-growing, probably evergreens of that nature and flowering plants.
well, since we were just talking, we do want to take care, what we'll probably do with as a matter of course, and this is typical for most projects, is we've already flagged, as part of our DEP permit, we are in the process of it, and almost completed, with flagging all the wetland lines again with the color code. We flagged the buffers, the vernal pool buffers, et cetera, for these phases, and being flagged in the area. And everyone will be given a color-coded chart as to what the flags mean. And we'll walk that line with the cutters and completely encircle that line before the cutters go out on day one. And then we'll do selective tree locations and protect selective trees if we think we can save them. And a ledge project where you're blasting is difficult to say, I want to save that tree in the middle of ledge, but where we know we can or think we can, we'll do a cut and then we'll come back if we can save it. If it doesn't make it through the ledge blast, unfortunately, we go. Otherwise, we try to save them. So we'll go through and do a two-level of tree marking to try to save selective trees where we can in those areas from the blast. Any other questions? Let me just introduce the board and the public to the community center. And as Joe mentioned, we've made changes to when the plans were permitted, we had put together a concept for a community center that was maximize the area of that. This is Patriots Way coming in. Phase 1A would end right about here. And Phase 1B, Payne Road. This is the central roundabout area going off to the wastewater system. And this is a big ledge knob area that begins to drop off. And this is one of our big stormwater ponds, which we agreed again to buffer the top edge of that pond with conifers on the back edge there of the berm. And so what we've done is for permitting on the approved plans, we had a concept without having an architectural, of a potential site, a lot of parking, and maximize the impervious area so that our stormwater would meet muster with DEP, we'd have maximized. What we've now done is worked with Sousa Design, which is Joe's architects out of Boston, done a wonderful job, and come up with a community center that I'm going to show you an elevation in a minute. It's basically a 3-pod building. This is a silo with a main building. It's 50 by 60 something, 50 by 60 roughly, for a sense of scale. This pod is, correct me if I'm wrong, 32 by 48 or something like that.
Yeah,
The sense of scale. This is 32 by 25 or something like that. With a main area, open public areas, sort of a library with a fireplace. And again, there's not a commercial kitchen, but there's going to be it's not going to be a full bar, not a liquor license, but BYO. So there'll be a small kitchen set up in through here. And then these will all be connected with an overhanging porch. And then we've got a fitness area here and locker rooms. And then outside the building, and this could be something like the silo, a fun area for kids, maybe you have sell sodas and...
It's bathrooms right now.
Bathrooms now, okay, we've changed it, I'm sorry. So we have bathrooms inside the silo here. And so the idea here is to have this platform outside where we've got a pool, like a 5-foot pool, not a diving pool.
6 foot.
6 foot? Okay. Keep me honest here. A kiddie pool, a splash feature for the kids. This is all sort of a patio deck area. A hot tub somewhere in here, the idea of a fire pit, which we may move over to this area here, and a pavilion, and then a large grassed area that allows for functions, putting up a tent, having a, the annual meeting, that sort of thing. And this is actually something that Kim came up with from her experience with Projects in Wells, is an outside yoga garden, so people can do yoga outside rather than being in a nice day, rather than being in a fitness area. And then other green areas, bocce, horseshoes, that sort of thing. And the idea here we've come up with is to reduce the whole size of this, is to save, this is a ledge not open here, to save all this ledge. And so you've got this barrier as you come into the project rather than originally using all that space. We've reduced the footprint. And I like the idea, maybe we take this ledge, this is about an 8-foot, 10-foot, 7-foot, 6-foot ledge cut, just to use that ledge as it really create a nice feature. Maybe we have a small sitting area up in the ledge here. We'll come up with some ideas. And that also helps buffer these units here. And that would all be fenced, being a pooled area. And then this would lead on past the wastewater system to our athletic fields that are further on in the woods. So that's the concept. The big difference here, besides the size of the building, which is about 5,800 total when you combine, is parking is going with sort of, Kim's been really the forefront of this, looking at how the other seasonal cottages work. It's really not destined for automobiles to come parking at the community center. It's really designed for golf carts with access one-way loop. Deliveries would be at grade. There's not a need for a loading dock. At grade, UPS comes in, at grade deliveries. Rollaway dumpsters from inside. There's not a whole lot of waste. We don't need a full dumpster. We'll do rollaways and take them out, and their whole maintenance crew will take them away. A couple of parking spaces, some ADA spaces, that sort of thing. But keeping it very simple from the automobile perspective, not focusing this as an automobile-driven establishment. And last but not least, the elevation of this from the architects, this is pretty exciting, is you can see the 3 pods connected with a porch and the silo, and that's the vision that they're working on right now. We're making some slight tweaks to it as we go into construction or design level document. But this is the concept, and it's going to look something like that. And I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be quite a nice facility. So I guess our question to the board, if there's any questions on the site plan, is we presume this would require a modification or submission to the board with the new plan. We'll be modifying our piping and sewer and all that, and bring in a several sheet site plan of details to make a submission as to make an amendment or whatever motion you have to make. We'll bring that into you as soon as we can complete the drawings. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Just, what you have there is beautiful. Are you going to turn on and have for your clientele, okay, anything like tennis?
Yes,
I mean,
it's out in the field. We have a
it's not going to be around there then?
No, it's
I
going to be.
didn't know if they were going to turn around and be able to, for an example, have you play tennis so that you can go to the clubhouse and
It'd be close
relax,
by.
relax
Yeah, it'd
afterwards?
be close by, but not immediately adjacent to. There's a softball field over our septic system. In that area, we're going to put the basketball and the tennis.
Here.
Okay,
There's
just-
a trail that goes over. They won't be, but just to be clear, this is still, I think this concept is pretty refined. We've gone through it with Kim, with our team, in terms of program elements. One of the things that Kim's been instrumental in from marketing is really guiding us as to, people bring up ideas, putting greens, but how many people really use a putting green? Tennis courts, do we need them, or is it something that you create as an amenity and people don't really use? And so, in this case, we know at some point, somewhere, we need to put a basketball court for kids and some hardscapes. We may end up putting it in here, but our thought right now is to not put those in here and put them away because of the noise, and the kids can still be supervised, And so some of those features are still somewhat in flux, but I think this is the sort of the backbone to what we're thinking. We may add an amenity, we may drop an amenity in the final site plan, but I think we're pretty solid, pretty much.
One of the things that we're thinking about doing is, let's say for the older kids, teenagers and all of that, is to have a pool area somewhere further along, maybe when we do phase 3, thereabouts phase 4, but somewhere, so they'll have a diving board. They will have at that time a lifeguard, so then they can enjoy themselves. But try to put it in an area where if they're screaming and they're having a good time, it won't bother the people living, because it tends to have areas where we feel as though it could be peaceful and tranquil too. as a combination, because the site is so big, we're able to do a lot with it.
Any questions on part of the board?
One more.
Marty?
Just for knowing some of these kids today and not knowing them, since you have the lovely exposure of ledges and everything else, and how they sometimes are couch potatoes but not couch potatoes, you gonna have anything in there for like skateboarding?
Not around.
I mean,
not-
I just was wondering.
We haven't thought of that. That hasn't been considered yet. I
But
wonder.
it doesn't mean that,
It's just throwing out a thought.
Rick, can you go to the large plan of the site with the 92 acres that we haven't really developed yet? The northwest corner, right up there, which we've submitted to you folks and has been approved for maybe a 4 to 5
satellite
acre.
recreation.
Yeah, with a 4 to 5 acre pond, plus tennis courts, basketball courts, maybe we do something up there.
Okay, it was just,
Maybe,
No.
yeah. And I think one of the things we're trying to do is as people come in, and Kim and her people have a chance to ask them, you have children, what would you like to see in here? Because one of the things we're trying to do is have a lot of activity, different activity, but also educational, because there's a lot to learn on that site. And you folks requiring that 100-foot buffer along, but we were able to do exercise trails and walking trail within that 100-foot buffer. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, there's still a lot of wild animals there. I don't know how much longer they'll be there once we start blasting.
Just saw them.
And also the land that we have to put in a trust, that, especially that upper portion, that's got some beautiful walking trails and some great elevations up there. And of course then the eastern trail, because as you know, we have direct access to the eastern trail. It's got so much to offer, but what we would like to do is get that input from some of the folks that are gonna be living there, that have children, whether they're young, teenagers or whatnot, and work with them to put something, programs together that really they get excited about.
Yeah, and to Marty's point, it's a good question. I suspect that as the program is in
Grows.
use,
Yeah.
it grows, it can expand, and maybe someday there's a need for a climbing wall. I mean, what a great thing, and we find a
Well,
spot.
there is a climbing wall being built, by the way, nearby. Who told me? Somebody told me.
Yeah.
But it's being built nearby and it's indoors. So there's another place that you, on a rainy day, take the kids there. It could be great. It's only like 20 minutes away, I think.
Ted, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I like the program, I like the flexibility, changing lifestyles and alternative lifestyles, but I am concerned about one thing. What is your program? You give me thoughts on how we're going to deal with safety separation between golf carts and motor vehicles? Because they can be a conflict. And you do have, and especially in situations where you're going to have inclement weather, colder weather, assuming that you get the extension, and we go all the way to December, you're not going to be wanting to go out on a golf cart on a snowy day. So I think I would like you to take a look at how you're going to deal with that in terms of motor vehicles, and how we're going to have some safety separation between the two. Are we going to have a golf cart path? Are we going to put them on the road with motor vehicles? Because you will have people going back and forth. Some of them aren't going to use your public transportation because they want to go to LOB, or they might want to go up
No, I agree.
to Pop-Up
True,
or something like
but
that.
because of Kim's experience, I think she's thought about it a little bit, we've thought about it a little bit. I'll have her speak, but then I'll add a few things to it from experience.
We will have speed limits. The cars will be encouraged. There's no parking for the general public, or the general owners at the clubhouse. Handicapped, accessible, parking only. You're going to be able to go to your cottage. There's nowhere to drive to other than out. So you have your main road only. All of the winding roads and all of those roads have room for both. It's the side roads, and there's no point in driving there. You wouldn't.
So you're going to tell me that a mom's got 5 kids on a rainy day is going to take a golf cart instead of picking them up with her car at that facility?
All of the staffing, you want to go to if you don't own your own golf cart, say you haven't gotten one yet for Father's Day,
Right.
then you're going to call the clubhouse, they're going to go get you. The staff will only use it. Staff parking will be out in front in the
No, but I think what he's thinking about, Kim,
So,
is
they're gonna.
cottage owner has his own, her own golf cart.
Yes.
Okay. They're gonna be driving amongst traffic, cars.
Right.
Okay. In the wintertime, because I've been at these facilities where they have cars and golf carts, usually around October, September, they disappear. They just get housed somewhere, and then they get covered, batteries are taken out, whatnot, and it's done.
Golf carts aren't charming when it's 28 degrees.
No, they aren't.
And
I know this personally.
they're gonna be some golf carts, but not, I think, to the point where each 259 units are gonna have 259 golf carts. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be here and there. But I understand your point. That's why also we have, if you recall, on the side of the roadways, we have grass and stuff where people can walk.
We also have walkways.
We have walkways.
But that's the main road. That's where the car traffic's going to be. There's no need for the cars to be driving in and out and through those smaller areas.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, going down Patriots Way, you're gonna have carts and cars on Patriots Way.
Right. And
That's what I'm a
but-
little concerned about the safety aspect.
Well, all of the owners in the little loops are gonna be taking their golf carts to the community center.
Right.
And there's gonna be other people with cars coming into their units, so.
Have you ever been to the villages? That's all, there's a combination, a big combination of both. And they drive on the streets in the villages all of the
Yeah.
time,
They're road
with
rage.
cars and with their carts.
From experience, they really watch out for one another. It's like kids on bikes. You're gonna have a ton of kids on bikes there. It's gonna happen. So the point is, you have to be careful. We have speed limits like 10, 15 miles an hour. And I think it's like if I was there with my grandkids, if I saw somebody speeding, I speak up. Even if I wasn't an owner, I speak up. It kind of polices itself, and I've seen it in North Carolina. With North Carolina, these places, they use a ton of golf carts as well as cars, especially down south, even if you go further south.
Yeah, I know, and I've been to those facilities too, and it's always been good weather.
Yeah, yeah, but no, in the wintertime, you go down south now, they get freezing rains down there.
Yes, I mean,
I'm Harry Porter. I just want to ask you a question now. You said a gatehouse. This is essentially going to be a gated community past the, where the sales office is, correct?
Yes.
So this, and to answer one of your questions about that, Tad, this is kind of like one of our island communities. If you go out to some of the islands out there, you have shared roads with cars and golf carts. But because it's a limited facility, you don't have really that much traffic, and most of the people, their neighbors, they don't want to kill each other, unless you got tools in their back.
Well,
And it's a good point, and I just wanted to know that.
no, point well
address
taken,
that.
yeah.
And especially, and you know, I think you might have to look at a little bit more parking spaces at the.
Well, Rick, show them where we have additional parking spaces, because we didn't thought about it, please. Just in case it happens. On that, no, the green plan, the other plan, Rick. No, the other plan too.
At the clubhouse.
At the clubhouse,
There.
excuse me.
One of the things we thought about was additional parking down in here. Remember we talked about
We
that?
could do like
There.
grass
Grass
parking,
Creek.
grass gravel type of surface, and that way, big event, lots of people coming for, say, a big, you've got a band, or you've got an annual meeting, they can park use these areas here and park and have a surface they can park on with it, not with a car, but with their cars, golf carts.
In addition, it's one of the things that we, as you know, the pump station's gone. So there was a pump house here, for the booster pump station for the water, but because of what happened down the road, now everybody's got pressure.
Now you gave us pressure, thank you.
You're welcome. So that area, and it needed a service area and a road, is gone. This area here, I've always looked at it as an overflow for visitors for parking. We will, it's available, but we will minimize it. If we don't need it, we want to keep it green. If we need it, it's there. And so we could do it with asphalt, which I don't like a lot of asphalt, but we could also do it with pavers, pervious materials, so it'll allow us to drain and all of that. So those are some of the things that will happen as we move into this and we see the need to modify these plans, which we will bring it back to you so you know what's going on. Right now, it's kind of like, how many golf carts of the 259 owners eventually gonna have? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 50? We don't know, so we have to kind of feel our way through it. But I know your concern, totally agree, I have grandkids, I'd be concerned. However, knowing through experience and being in also golf courses, golf club communities, there's golf carts and cars everywhere, but you notice they go very slow. They watch out for one another.
One of the things that I think, to Tad's point, which is a good point, is to think about this, is it's a behavior thing, as has been mentioned, about human behavior, not about sort of enforcement, but also the fact that it's going to grow organically by phase. If all of a sudden you're phase 3 and you've already got a weekend parking problem, then we have to figure something out, come back to you and say, geez, wow, we didn't anticipate, you know. We're taking a lot of our cues, again, from Kim, from her experience with other communities, so there's a history of how these things typically work, but we'll have that opportunity over several years to see how things are working.
And we have the 92 acres that we haven't really developed.
So, but,
You know, that if we need to do things, we can do some things up there.
Okay. Are there any other comments by the public?
I have one more question,
Okay.
it's not really a comment. Back to the original drawing, where does the Eastern Trail cross?
All the way at the back. It doesn't
It's
cross.
it's not through their property.
It's not through their
So
property.
it's all the
but
way back near Mountain Road, back on the
It
side?
butts up at the mountain road, yes.
Right there, on the back side, okay. I'm just curious where that was.
It's right here.
Yeah, totally at the.
we have direct access across this part of the property and a proposed trail connection. And then this is Hidden Meadows, which, you know, crosses right there.
And that's gonna, you've got a plan to keep that buffered, right, for the public? Is that how it's gonna be? done?
Yes, and the Eastern Trail since day one, I'm cyclist, so I mean, this is like marketing 101. This is a huge, from a marketing perspective, you couldn't ask for anything better than to have that in an active community and to make that an amenity, so pretty excited about that.
And is there going to be a way to keep people from, the public from going down through there?
There's a
From-
gate. Rick, there's a
No.
gate. What? To our property?
They want to walk across it.
They like our
You can't
property.
keep these off instead of button.
Just know that to some,
If somebody decides they want to go down to the mall
No.
to get a sandwich or something, can a person from the public go down there and do that? And then go back?
Using a vehicle? No.
No, on a bike or walking.
I think it would be, you know, honestly, it would be difficult to totally police people coming off the Eastern Trail into the site, but I think it's gonna have to be one of those things where I would gather that if you're in this phase of the development and you constantly see people turning off, obviously you don't know your neighbors, I think they'd have to do something about it, but I think it's gonna, again, have to develop organically and try to
There
create
should
good
be,
neighbor.
you should have some signage there anyway.
Private
Say,
keyword,
you know,
absolutely.
private prop, whatever.
We've been putting up signs, no trespass, guess what?
It's hard to
They're gonna go
You
where they
know,
want to
the
now.
thing is that
Firewood.
we have the Eastern Trail, but we also have some sensitive vernal pools that people just keep driving through. And hopefully that'll stop.
You'll recall that this is a vernal pool which currently is in the middle of an ATV trail.
Yeah.
Part of our DEP permit and mitigation is to move this road 250, this is 250 feet, almost a football field away, for sense of scale, and then replicate that trail with plantings so that, and we discussed this at our pre-construction meeting yesterday, excuse me. Obviously, I think we need to reach out to the locals about the fact that we're not just going to close that off when that happens. We need to do a little bit of education that, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's going to be closed off, but I think there needs to be a bit of PR about that so people don't come up one day and understand that it's going to be a change of use.
It's an educational
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
One more question. Is, on that back section there, well, we're speaking of, was not that also, or will it be, your emergency exit also?
Yes, there's a gated Knox box
Right.
on that head of Hidden Meadows Drive right here.
When, and you're phasing, when is that emergency possibly gonna be available? Because I know when you're farther down, but is that part of your?
If I remember right,
End of phase
After
two.
phase
end of phase 2, beginning of phase 3 or thereabouts.
It has to be.
Yeah, it's in
It was in the,
It's in the
Yeah,
permit.
it's in
I'm just
the-
sorry,
it's in
I'm
your-
rusty.
Yeah.
I mean, after all this time,
Or if we were to build the commercial buildings right away, that would have to be opened up as well as Route 1. We'll have to do something with Route 1.
let's get back
Just
to
ask the
this.
question.
Let's address the issue that we have before us. Because, I mean, at this point, we're way out into something that we're not gonna get to for at least a week.
Oh, for two.
So let's take a look at this. The request is to amend the financing instrument and the amount of the construction surety. Are you satisfied with the idea of the tri-party agreement and phasing it out? Or putting the money out in phases the way it's been proposed?
Absolutely.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Well, again, I have to assume you guys have already had some discussions between yourself and the applicant on how this is going to work. That it will
We've had a breakthrough this.
Okay. In reading some of the findings of fact on the program, I did not see a provision for timing, for them to provide you with that surety. We're well into this now, we never got one on the first one. I'm just wondering, okay, so if we put in something like 60 days, maybe it's, I mean, I don't even mind doing the extension. I mean, these things go hand in hand with the surety allowing some construction. But if you don't receive the surety in X amount of time, there ought to be a stop work or something. That's my only comment, Rick.
That's a good point, because there is nothing about a timing on this.
Well, it says prior to the commencement of construction.
But they were asking to start construction
What you're
tomorrow,
saying
Monday.
is- Yeah, but-
See, they're saying they want to start tomorrow, which will probably be in a couple of days, but there's still a little bit of detail to be worked out. So I don't mind giving a month instead of 60 days a month. Joe has indicated probably a week, so maybe 2 weeks at the most.
Do you
I
think
think
2 weeks would be good, Joe?
2 weeks would be good.
We did it.
Well, Joe, you're not putting anything in the ground, I mean, you're not digging, you're not.
We're not digging, we're not building anything, but I mean, I think in
Cut
2
tree
weeks, we
covering.
can have the information to you folks, to Tad, that I think would satisfy you.
Once work begins, though, work takes on a life of its own, as we all know, you know. Once you get the workers in there, just the cut becomes a little bit.
Plus, also,
Yeah,
the phasing is a little different, because the phasing, because you're blasting, that's your phase one. Your phase one is that we're going to start here, and we're gonna do all of this. Your
We're gonna
phase
be
one is,
clearing.
we're gonna blast,
Yes.
you know, because we're not gonna come and blast this. Sure, Phil, you're not gonna blast this, and then go and do another job, and come and blast this 2 months, 2 years.
Although what may happen
It's
is
gonna be-
phase 1A and 1B could be blasted, and work could start on that while they're working on phase 2.
Right, so, there's gonna be, there could be multiple phases going at the same time.
But
is what I'm saying. So
I
it's
think
not
the
following the
30 days-
usual phasing that we always
I
do.
think 30 days would be a good idea. Yeah, because Joe was saying he can have it in 2 weeks.
Let's make sure everybody's happy and that this doesn't stall and stop.
Compromise,
and so
right.
forth. So I'd like to make a motion that we allow the provision of the tri-party agreement as acceptable to the town planner between the town and the applicant. That there be a provision of 30 days, that should be in place, and that the applicant be allowed to begin some of the initial construction in the phase 1A until such time.
Right, but you're talking 30 days starting today?
Correct.
Second that, but just for the record, but there's a term for construction, I think I'd rather have a different, maybe preparation or something, construction, could be a new line, something. So, I think we do have 2 different issues I think we're trying to resolve. One is the financing, the surety. The other is whether they can be able to start work or not. And I'm having a hard time
Okay, so
keeping.
do you want to separate them out?
Yeah.
And make them two separate?
You don't need a motion for the tri-party, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we do, except that we're being asked to amend the instrument. That's what part of the motion, or
Well,
the
the
request
instrument
was.
wasn't defined.
Yeah, the board doesn't usually establish what agreement there is. Since this is the request, though, there's three different mechanisms. That's up to the applicant what he chooses to do, actually. But there's already a basic agreement that exists verbally between the town planner and the applicant. So all I'm saying is that it's totally acceptable to the board.
Okay, can I just address that? The performance assurance has only three mechanisms, three instruments you could use. We were going to discuss an alternatives to that, but we've decided prior to the meeting we're going to go with tri-party. So that's, the instrument's already been designed. I think the issue then is really the timing, and I would ask the board to consider limiting the scope of what work can be done before this is instituted, because if you're doing site prep, doing some cutting and removal of stumps and things of that nature, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to get any digging on the ground until I got the money in hand.
That's where,
I
Because
just
it
want
sets a
to-
bad precedent, because remember, folks,
I mean, prep work is one thing.
prep work's one, yeah.
Through the chair, we're totally agreeable with the term site preparation and clearing, site preparation and cutting. That's being.
And also protecting the sensitive areas. There's a lot of sensitive areas we have to protect.
Well,
But you're also exposing
tape
them
up.
so they can be protected.
Well, in some cases, you're right, because they're so buried in overgrowth, underbrush or brush that we can't get them.
Over the years,
So we
You'd
should,
have to
we should
relocate.
probably have that motion just withdraw it and restate it, because it was,
Did you already? Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
okay.
you're smiling like a Jessica.
So, question, do we need a motion on the financing?
No, I don't believe we do, because the original,
I think
the
we
findings
should.
of fact back in March of 2013, the performance assurance for completion of each phase shall be submitted to and approved by the town planner
Prior to the construction.
prior to the commencement of construction. So we're saying already, he's going to dictate the performance assurance. So if it's a tri-party agreement or a bank loan or whatever it happens to be, that's already been taken care of. We just have to look at the issue of moving forward and allowing them to start doing the work before that agreement is actually in place.
Limited.
Limited to this site prep.
What constitutes commencement of construction, is what you're
Yes.
defining commencement of construction.
We already have. Or,
No.
No. What are you gonna stick a dynamite in the ground and go, boom, let's start construction? Digging. Yeah. But to prepare the site with the cutting down of the trees and the removal of that building, I don't think they're that big of a problem.
You're gonna have to still dig to try to do site prep, to try to pull something.
Preparation, clearing, demolition.
Just to the chair, site preparations typically, if you go to the specification book, there's site prep, it's a pretty standard scope of work, including, site layout, flagging of wetlands, that sort of thing, clearing, grubbing, and then cutting the trees. It's a pretty standard terminology. I would, from my perspective, to use the term site preparation and cutting, I think you're pretty well protected at categories. It's a pretty universal term, and the specification book covers what's
No aspect.
provided with that.
I can agree with that, but I also think we should limit the area where that prep can take place. We're talking about protecting the vernal pools. Is that all in the red phase?
Red and green.
Red and green.
Right.
Okay. And the existing building is right in the red. What about
And the
cutting
pool.
trees? That be red and
Red and
green?
green. But by the time we get to the green, I'm feeling we'll have this agreement in place.
I would hope so.
It
You've got the
it doesn't
forms.
behoove us to sit on it. It's a matter of just getting those folks and us and the bank and the information. That's really That's what it's gonna take.
I need a cost breakdown.
Which we have, but we need to put a time frame so that we can say, okay, during this 3, 4, 6 months, this is what we're gonna be doing. I can give you all that.
That red section, can I ask one question? That red section that starts at Route 1, I'm assuming, to
Yes.
the right-hand side,
Yeah.
so it's gonna go back about 2,000 feet?
Where, well, that's where the leaching fields are.
Yes.
We're
Right.
not gonna do all of that right away.
You're not gonna do all the red right now?
Probably not, because we don't need it all.
But that is about 2,000 feet, isn't it?
It's,
Yeah, right.
1,500, something like that, something like that, yeah, something like that.
1,200 to be exact, but there's a little bit more when you go way back.
Well, when you go into
Yeah.
where the septic is, it is.
Right. That's about 1,200 linear feet of road.
And you're not gonna touch that section that's white in front of the green next to the window? Not gonna cut the trees down or nothing?
No,
No, that's a buffer, actually.
Right.
We hope to,
Someday it's gonna be sales offices or whatever.
platforms for site, for pads, pad prep,
Okay.
not.
All right, I'll make an emotion, a motion that we permit, if that's the right word, to them to be able to do some site preparation work for 2 weeks of the talking, so, up to a month.
It's not gonna take a month for you to put together this agreement.
The holidays come in 30 days.
3 weeks.
The sooner we get it done, everybody will be done with
Just
it.
pick a date, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah, just pick a date.
Start tomorrow for all I care.
No. What do you want to say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
Beginning today, or give them a month to do some prep work. You should have.
Okay. So he has to have the tri-party in within
3 weeks,
30 days,
Yep.
within a month. Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd say 3 weeks.
Okay. But the motion is for a month, for 30 days.
You said discussion,
Yeah,
and that's my
and I agree.
discussion.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, that's just the red and the green zones.
Right.
Correct. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 3-1.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget, Tuesday night, we have a...
Wait. You also want to have documents to you, that allowed the site preparation, now we need a time. It allows you to do the site prep over the next month. But we need a time for you to get the actual assurance and the cost breakout. Is that what you need?
Well, that's what he's doing prior to this.
Right. He's got 30 days to get that to Ted.
Right.
And if they don't, the work stops.
Did your motion say something about an assurance? I thought you just
No,
granted
it
them
did.
site
Up to
preparation.
third, and if it's not in.
But he did say that, Tom. You didn't
Once-
have that on.
Once,
Okay.
once the finance is in place, they have to very like to go because
Yep, I agree.
the performance standards have been met. Performance assurance.
Was there also a request for an extension on this? I know we did.
No.
Okay, so it was on the other, we'll take care of that.
But he didn't say that. That's why.
Are you good?
Sure.
No?
No, I don't think you guys have actually seen how these tri-parties work, so
I-
I forward
yeah.
all this stuff to you.
I have.
Okay, you have.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think the
you
rest of the board has
haven't.
seen
I
how it
have.
works. So, we'll show you.
I haven't
I'll
seen-
forward you the completed documents so you can see.
Okay. And gentlemen, we'll look forward to seeing you Tuesday night. We have a public hearing on the December cutoff date,
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
because it's on the ballot for...
24.
Right, and we have to have the public hearings, and we're gonna have that on Tuesday
Tuesday
night.
night?
Next Tuesday night.
Over at the fire station, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, we'll have this one.
7 o'clock at the fire station.
Thank you.
Rick, that well that you were talking about, that was used for landscaping, a water of the landscaping when the nursery is being put there. And it was working.
We think we think we're gonna have a pretty good yield on it. We're gonna test it anyway.
But I'm just saying, not necessarily drinkable water, but it was, at the time, it was being used for, that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. We're gonna
But you
check
can
it
also,
out.
but when you start all this, you'll find those old also.
Spring, I think we're gonna play.
Yeah, but the pool, no, in front of the house.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
I know my well, ran three hoses out of it.
Land use ordinance, we're going to talk about the gateway design standards.
That's a
And
dug well.
Spring next to the house comes out the wetland.
And I think it comes right behind.
Yeah.
Always hits.
hey, please take your conversations outside. Gateway design standards, Gateway District design standards. The town planner has given us two alternatives, one of which relies on the same standards that we used at the Townhouse Corner District. And then if I'm,
The other one is the DD1 district.
the other one is the PD1, okay.
You know, the question that came up, if you recall, when you went over the minutes, from the public hearing that we had, or the workshop that we had with the residents of the Gateway District, they were very adamant that design was the key issue to making the district work. Their support for the district and the various uses that were being proposed was contingent, very succinctly on the idea that at least they would accept all the list of uses that were proposed, but they had to be designed. The buildings had to be designed so that it would fit into the scale of the neighborhood and the character of the neighborhood. We wanted everybody to do what Champaign did, basically. But, they discussed a whole bunch of different things. They didn't have problems with large buildings. They had problems with large buildings looking like large buildings. And they had problems with buildings that didn't fit the architectural character of a neighborhood, a mixed-use neighborhood. That's what they were concerned about. So when we were looking over the design standards, say, well, we could invent a whole new set of design standards, or perhaps we should start with the similar design standards that we've already, forged or actually hammered out, in two different districts. One district is the Townhouse Corner District, which is a district is pretty similar in terms of scales to the Gateway District, although it's the maximum building size in the Townhouse Corner District is twice that of the Gateway District. But it deals with pretty much many of the same issues in terms of breaking up large buildings, where making them look a little bit more, I should say residential, because it has more of a residential character orientation in the Townhouse Corner District. And that's basically what Alternative 1 does. It basically takes the Townhouse Corner District and slaps that right onto the Gateway District. The only difference between it is that one thing that became very acute was that adjacent residential properties need to be able to be protected from a building, both in scale or design, that could adversely affect their property. So, it would also deal with new construction that's visible from the street or adjacent residential property. I think that's what's different in that townhouse. The second one, which was Alternative 2, which was the DB1 district, that was a little bit looser kinds of design. That allowed for more variety in design. In the Townhouse Corner District, it was very residential oriented. Remember, we had peaked roofs in there. In the downtown district, we had flat roofs. We have all sorts of different kinds of roofs that would be allowed. They had cornices, something that would break up the visual separate building. So, there's not a lot of difference between the two districts, the two different standards. But one does really focus more on the issue of allowing more commercial-looking architecture, whereas the Townhouse Corner District focuses more on making commercial architecture look a little bit more residential. And so that's really the issue the board's going to really grapple with, is which one of those two really fits in this context. Also, you know, when it comes down to signage, the two are dramatically different. Signage in the Gateway District, in the Townhouse District, is very simple. For instance, I put it right here, with the signage, if you look at signage, it's one little paragraph in the Gateway District, and it's basically saying, here your signage is 1 square foot for every 2 linear square feet of built and sign frontage. So for 2 linear feet of building, you get 1 square foot of signage. Whereas, you remember the huge list in the AB1 district that is slugged through for several months. And I wonder if that's a little too complex for this district to pull that up.
Well, we've got it all.
Yeah, we have
We
it
got it.
printed out
Yeah,
here.
we have it all.
It's the same thing, it's the same number, it's 3, number 3. Area and dimensions of the signage, you know. Very complex.
Simple is better.
Simple is better.
I am comfortable with either one of these, but I like the Gateway District being modeled on the Townhouse Corner District better, because it is a much smaller district, first off. And
Not like the way to get a whole bunch of shiny.
that's true, they aren't. And
We
this,
got 2 built properties that could do that.
this is a much smaller ordinance for design.
Can I make comment?
Absolutely.
I agree, I think the Townhouse Corner, but what was striking to me is we went through 2 districts, and we're trying to reformat to have everything the same, and these things are totally different, not just the words, but the paragraphs and subsets, and how did we not? No wonder we went over things.
Well, at least we're not boilerplating them. That's what I'm saying. Not boilerplating.
Obviously not.
I think,
Would it be easy, I mean, we've gone through an awful lot of work to standardize and come up with a standard format. Should we not, for these individual districts, have, I mean, not the same words, but you know, if we're going to start out with sureties, then they have it under both, and then signs and whatever, you know, in the same order, would that not make sense?
They are in the same order.
They are? No, I don't think so. We have performance standards 8.14, we have design standards for new construction and rehabilitation.
Oh, okay.
Then under 1, we have building design, and then we have design review application required. And that's missing over here, and that really should be there. I mean, so we're taking the chance of missing something good if we don't have a
process.
This is the open,
A process.
This is what we're going to go from, put them together.
You should boilerplate your table of contents and then.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, if we're gonna use the same design standards in the Gateway District and in the Townhouse Corner District, you notice their first letter is 8, which is mixed use district. We can have performance standards common to mixed use districts. So the performance standards would be performance standards for both districts.
see, when I remember going through it, though, we looked at DB1, and that was primarily more of a business-oriented section. But when we looked at Townhouse Corner, and we look at the Gateway, we're saying, no, these are more residentially oriented.
Yes, the scale was different, everything is different, but again, our process, I think we recreated the process out of sync, and I think if we were looking for something, if we were going to go try to get lighting retail, oh, that's in section 4, I remember that, oh no, wait, that must have been Gateway District 2 or 15.
Lighting should be section 4 in every single
Single
one.
one,
yes.
You have a table of contents boilerplate,
Oh, yeah, and we do. And we
and that
do,
goes
it's just,
into
it's,
each zone.
and we'll do that. There's some, if you look at the two, there are some, yeah, you're right, the process is missing from this.
And if it's non-applicable, it's non-applicable. I mean, we can have the section non-applicable to the, you know.
I like this, and it also sounds like this is what the residents are looking for as well, so I think this serves them as well. I have one little comment at the bottom of the page. You have
Which one? Alternative one?
Alternative one. The very last thing says between 12:8 and 12:8. It should be 8:12.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The next
You're
page,
right.
the very last words on the first page. Say 8:12 rather than 12:8, and the top of the next page.
Down here on the bottom.
Alternative one. Let me go to
It should say
alternative
12,
one.
I should say 8:12.
12:8 is a steep roof.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna drop whatever 8 inches, that's a steep roof.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right there.
Right there.
That's there.
Number from-
What's the very last number? It's 12:8, it should be 8:12.
Oh.
It's also the
And then
same.
it says the same thing there.
And at the top of the pictures.
Or you don't even need the inch marks in the
I know.
So that's also on the first sentence of the second page.
Yeah.
Yes.
8:12, 12:12.
Right. I like this. Was there anything else that you saw in there, Tom?
The reason I put it in inches, by the way, Tom,
Yeah.
because everybody asked me, what's the 12 feet?
Oh, that, okay. Well, the rest of it all looks pretty good.
How about you, Marty? Any thoughts on it?
On the roofing, and
On either one of these?
Alternative 1 or 2?
the alternative one, but the idea again, you're in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, and you're gonna have an 8-foot sign, 8-foot height sign. Why don't we turn out of the way everything else is going, in my own opinion? We wanna keep knocking signs down. We go from a 10-foot to an 8-foot, and then you're supposed to be able to have a clearance to see underneath the sign. I mean, sign shows you where you are.
I'm not over on signs, because I like some of the bigger signs, I've said that from the beginning.
I have too, but it
Things like,
doesn't matter.
things like, you know, the champion and the weird,
Well, because turn on, that's the only thing that's lighting up the road.
Well, down in this district,
There is no lights.
yes, there are.
No, they're not. On Route 1, there is.
Down at this, in the Gateway District, there are plenty of lights down that way.
The only light going on the Proctor Road.
No, there's lights, there's lights where County Connection was. There are lights where Champaign is. There are lights where, I think, is it a water district?
Yeah,
that has
it's
that
one
building?
district pump station.
The pump station has lights. Every time I drive the ambulance down through there, we see the lights.
About the only place that we can see them.
You may have a point there, but in this district, they've got lights.
Marty, you want lights, take it to town hall at a town meeting and have the residences vote to put lights on Route 1.
And the only other thing you do is mandate the private property owners to it.
I don't want my tax rates to put lights in there.
You know, you keep bringing it up over and over again, and this is not the.
Look, I can turn around and bring it up.
I know, but bring it
That's
up
not
where it
why-
makes sense.
It has nothing to do with this.
Bring it up where it's gonna make sense, where.
I have brought it to the selectmen before and I was told, stuff it.
Okay, so
So
let's move back to this issue. Do you prefer alternative one or alternative two?
One.
Alternative one, is everybody in favor?
Yeah.
Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion, well, this, something we'll approve and move forward right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll go for it, that we adopt this alternative, this as the design standards.
With the correction made on the roof pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second on that? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Can we have a discussion?
Oh, yes, we can. We can have a discussion. Thank you. I figured we'd have to have it. Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment on this?
Well, I wanted to comment, but I just
And
got run over.
now we'll let, well, nobody else out there said it.
You wrote it.
I'll let you-
That doesn't mean I can't comment on it.
Okay, by all means, comment.
Now I forgot.
Was it a
Well, it
It's
was
so
actually,
easy to
it was in
distract.
reference to what Bob had said. Do you want to put in that process in there? Because it's a good point, Bob. Basically, that you have to have a design.
Well, I thought you said we were gonna do it when we get that standardization done on the other.
Well, it only is gonna apply to DB1 and these two districts. Because we're not gonna have any more
Okay.
design standards anywhere else that I know
Well,
of.
then, let's,
Unless we do the scenic corridor preservation,
I hope not.
you know? It's in the conflict.
so let's vote on this, and then we can make a motion to standardize everything.
Well, that would mean adding this section into here, that's why that point. If I, where is that here, take it away from the middle.
Well, there's a little, yeah, see.
There, see, architectural design standards. Now, we have this right here, all proposed building renovations, new construction in these districts are required to obtain a design review certificate as part of the site plan of conditional use approval. Or that should be or, nice. Jesus. See that one little thing, that's what Bob was saying, that's not on the other one. And what it does, the only thing that does, it's a checklist of the site plan. I mean, it's basically saying, look, you know, the planning board's got to, when you're doing your checklist, you're gonna say, oh yeah, we went over the design review.
Isn't that kind of what that top paragraph says? That's what I was assuming in just different words.
Yeah. But Bob was saying you want to standardize it.
Oh, standardize, but still leave the specs or the standards the way they have now. Just put it into a format that matches.
Yeah, because here, it doesn't say it. It says building design, so I would put it in here. Might change the numbering.
Yeah, it's like in townhouses.
Oh, yeah, that's on the same page.
Well, we have this stuff in several places, but we don't have like the mass and scale section.
How about this? I'll withdraw my motion and wait till this is reformatted. Chad, if you want to go through that.
I'd like to get it done, but it's going to go.
I'm not sure I understand what it is that we're reformatting. I'm sorry about that.
Just so that number one here will be number one there.
Exactly the same language?
No,
No, exactly the same format.
the same format.
Same outline,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But
Now I
still will
understand.
say the
See,
same.
this is 8.1 gateway, that is performance
It's
standard.
your boilerplate for your table of contents, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Okay.
this goes through the performance.
So here you've got
We want
841,
design.
design review. See, the first one is design review required.
Right.
And here, the first one is building design. So we basically put this part in here, because it's the same bloody stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, right down here, scale and form, mass and
Yeah, your
scale.
mass and scale.
So we'll
Yeah.
do this mass and scale.
Different terms.
Okay,
So basically,
well,
marry these two together,
we can still
make sure they have,
vote to say that alternative one, the townhouse corner
If we
district,
like to proceed with,
is what we want to use for the standards. And then,
All the specs will stay the same.
That's
but-
correct.
But just the order might.
it'll be formatted.
Format, yeah.
okay. I could do that.
Okay. That was basically your motion anyway, wasn't it?
There was a motion.
That
Yeah.
was it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
What's it, Maureen, right, read that back.
So.
hey, David, go ahead and read that back.
Shall I reword my motion? It is
Please,
to
please.
approve of the alternative one is the design center for Gateway District with formatting to put in the same outline as the other one, which is
The DB1.
DB1, yeah. Is that
Okay.
clear enough?
That's clear enough.
So it's-
Is there,
so that-
is,
I would, if I may,
Yeah.
oh, first we have to get a second on the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, now we
I
can,
was just gonna say, use the word approve the contents.
Okay, yeah, the content is what's important. Okay.
any other comments? Anybody got anything else to say? All those in,
Go ahead.
No.
all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 3-1.
All right.
Planners report.
All right, yeah, Marty, before you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you the update on the seasonal cottages. We're gonna start Tuesday.
Wow. Good news.
We've already started.
Well, we're gonna
That's
start work.
every week.
That's already for the garage.
Yep.
Yep. We're getting a building permit, demolition permit for the other. So, you know what's going on with that. Let's see, what do we have coming up? You're gonna have, I have a bunch of stuff coming in, administrative review. You'll be getting a tank farm coming in under administrative review, or expansion of Branch Brook will be coming in under administrative review.
What was that first one, sir?
Branch Brook.
No, but you said something else
He
before
called
that.
it a tank farm.
I call it tank farm, it's a tank. It's gonna need an additional tank. Because of the size of it, it's gonna be administrative review. I also have several other projects that are in the process of being worked on, including, we're gonna have another business going into Enterprise Drive. So there's gonna be another lot there we're gonna have a project coming to us. Very much like Northeast Oil in terms of both size and, of course, expediency, because they're, of course, getting.
Yeah, right.
So I said,
Enterprise Drive.
you make sure your project's complete and the board will act. If it's not complete, they won't.
Which one's Enterprise? Is that what? around the machine?
Phil Shepherd.
Okay, going up the hill.
So that's starting to fill up. Basically, that'll fill it up. There's a couple other lots.
Two lots.
It'll take one of the two lots out.
Yeah, there's two lots.
Yeah. So, well, there's actually, and there's a third, but that's
Well, it's all
really
right anyway.
unusable, really. I've talked to the guys that over at, excuse me, Rick, I'm getting stuffed up here. But the folks over at AIM are gonna be submitting they made revisions to their DEP permit application, and they're gonna be sending us a copy of the permit. And then the other changes we had asked them to make to their plans, so they would probably be submitting in December, so it'll be on the December meeting. Also, well, we have several other projects that are several business projects that are in the wings right now, that are in various stages of negotiation and production, so we'll see what comes forward.
Southern Maine Marine.
Well, Southern Maine Marine, of course, has got a problem, a structural problem there. They're not doing any work, obviously, in the building, but they're still continuing to do some work on the site, because they need to close out that site. So I have to draw down a request on that. I haven't got any documentation on it yet, but I don't believe they're gonna be doing any work on the building. I don't know the stats of the building right now, that's.
If I driven by, it looks like all the A-frames, all
All
been
the trusses have
extracted.
been taken off.
The trusses were taken off, because I went by the other day, and
There were,
there were several that could still see trusses up, so.
Well, they were supposedly working on taking them all off, that's what Todd had mentioned to us.
Okay.
I guess, you know,
All right, in terms of the rest of the building, no, I haven't, the walls are still up.
Yeah, and Well, I told us that he was still planning on getting it all done for the winter. I just planned, he had commitments.
That's why,
He had commitments to store some.
Well, he has,
boats, so-
he has contracts.
Yeah, so his plan was to get it all buttoned up.
His site works
Anything on, County Connection? Anybody going in there?
Yeah, it's already in there, Motorland's in there.
Hey, I heard they were going in, I don't remember, you told me, I don't remember seeing it the last time I drove through.
last time you talked to us, somebody was going in,
Right.
but you've never told us anything else.
No, I didn't, because they hadn't made a firm commitment yet, so I'm not gonna tell you
At
something.
the last meeting, they were already in, but you didn't tell us.
I'm sorry, Marty. I didn't know that either. Because they
I
didn't
already
have
had it.
anything to do with me. We had our meetings, I said, you're good to go, you meet all the standards, there's absolutely nothing you need to do, deal with Jim and on your sign, the sign replacement, using the same sign.
What's the name of it?
Motorland.
The place with all the
Antique
antique
cars.
cars that was down at the mill in Bedford?
Yep.
What's the name of it?
Motorland. They're very excited, they're very, very happy to be here, they love the facility and they love the exposure.
Yeah, that's some really nice cars.
Nice cars.
Antiques.
Yep.
I don't know what
I filled that whole lot up.
Route
too.
1 on the left.
Yeah.
was
Just before the.
mainly RV used to be.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
One other thing, basically to deal with the issue of what staff did during the election day was we put together a little photo preference study that we administered to the voters at the polls. Did it for a very simple period of time, and we've got 100 samples, 100 surveys in which we asked people to identify which of 4 images they wanted their, if Arundel's downtown was gonna be between campground and the river on Route 1, what did they want their downtown to look like? And which of the 4 images would they prefer it to be? And to rate those 4 images on a 1 to 4 scale, with 1 being the most preferred and 4 to be the least preferred. And it was a heck of a turnout. I was really kind of surprised how many people participated in it. As I said, I got 100 samples, 100 questionnaires, which, given the turnout, was about a 10%, I think. Well, it was actually less than 10%. But it was better than what we usually get, which is 2%. So it worked out very well, and I've tabulated the results, and I'm not gonna give it to the board yet, because I've got them at the town hall desk, and people are still coming in and filling them out. So when they're all done, then I'll tell you what the results are, but.
When you give us the results, would you tell us how many people were in favor of each one?
Yes.
So we can see
No,
if there was 2 of them were close.
Well, what it's already tabulated, actually, there's 2 that are neck and neck.
Okay.
And they're similar but different. And it'll be an interesting analysis of what separates the 2. But the close in, the ones where the buildings are closer to the road is what's preferred.
Yeah?
Quick question, part of the conditional requirements for Kate's Butter when they came in business was to put an educational piece.
Oh, you beat me to it.
I know they haven't been going for all that long, but have they ever come back yet with anything on that?
No, I mentioned that to Chris the other day. He was in the office, and he said, what?
Read the conditions of approval, dude.
Yeah, I said, I'll send those to you. I need a program.
4 a year?
I can't remember what it was. but
I don't think it was
3.
Was it 3? Okay.
And that's a condition of approval, and I will send them an official letter to ask them about that, because I asked him, so when's the, you're supposed to give me an idea of when you have these, and then what response, kind of, let me know.
I have seen their cartons say Arundel, Maine on it.
They do, their cartons all say Arundel, Maine. Unfortunately, Hannaford hasn't changed their plugs, because it says, Maine and Maine, Old Orchard Beach.
That's leftover stock.
Yeah, leftover.
No, the cartons say Arundel, but there are stickers saying
Now that,
Old Orchard.
just comment or question, now that the Supreme Court has made their decision on Du Bois, is the town come up with a plan on how we're going to proceed, and can we kind of expect them now to be coming back before the board?
Well, what's going to happen is that, under the terms of the conditions of approval, since that approval and those conditions in that permit has been upheld, what has to happen is we have to have the annual inspection, which is called by the code enforcement officer. So the code enforcement officer and the town planner go out and do the inspection to see that the operation is still working within the confines of its permit, and they give us the bill of lading to show us that they're within the limits of their the production.
Town council is working with Todd on how to proceed forward with that.
Okay, I was gonna say,
What was the outcome?
The town was upheld by the Supreme Court.
So the town what?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's.
I mean, you want to call it win or lose, but I mean,
Well, what they did is they affirmed that the town has, the right to regulate an activity like they're doing out there, and it is not protected under the Right to Farm Act. In fact, they did, the Supreme Court, the law court did did some very distinct defining of what the limits of right to farm were. Some that might not have been well defined in the legislation. They defined the parameters of what right to farm is and what the municipality's role in right to farm is, and you know how it constrains or does not, in this case, does not constrain municipal review and regulation. So,
You have the ruling, right? You have a copy of the ruling?
I have a copy.
Send it to the members.
Yeah,
Get some
I read the
information.
article.
well, no, what you want to do is read the ruling.
Yeah, the rule's got some good information.
It's got great information,
Yeah.
and it really, I think it's very good. It's not a landmark case, but it is in the sense that it really defines right to farm. Whereas it's always been kind of an amorphous understanding of what that really means. The court really made sure that municipalities and farmers and the general public understands what that law is supposed to do, what the legislation intent was, and how it fits into land use law of the state of Maine. So the town's right to regulate that activity. They also did define it not as a farm. That activity is not farming. Yeah.
now is the town going to be able to recoup?
That's something that's
That's
going to be
something
between,
that's
the selectmen are going to have to deal with
Okay,
that.
I didn't know, yeah.
That's certainly not something staff with the planning board will be.
I know,
Well, we will be
I'm
doing-
asking a general question.
What we will be doing from our standpoint, from staff standpoint, is we will be seeking to continue to do the terms of the approval, which were the in-the-season site visit and inventory. That's what you require on an
And
annual
that was
basis.
so they must have lapsed by now.
Yes, they lapsed, yes, we missed two.
Yeah,
I believe. I
I
have to
didn't
check.
call it once, let's try to help if we can.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay,
All right, except, don't forget the 18th.
that's right. Don't forget Tuesday the
Tuesday the
18th,
18th.
7 o'clock at the fire station.
I won't be, I have class in the night, so I won't be here.
It is a public hearing, so we have to make sure we get
Yeah,
at least
have a
4 of
quorum.
us to show up.
18th,
The 18th.
That's
I won't be
Tuesday.
here.
It's
That's
Tuesday night.
I won't be here because I'm on,
Anybody want to join the board group?
a trip, to IKEA.
Yep, understandable. Okay.
We'll have to get with Jamie and Roger.
I asked the board to tell me who can come and who can't come. I haven't heard anything from anybody yet.
Yeah,
I didn't see anything asking, but I will be there the 18th.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone. It doesn't mean
Okay.
I didn't think of it until they you said the 18th because usually it's Thursday.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? We're on.
Thank you all for coming.
Hey, welcome aboard, Marie.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It was fun.
I always thought you'd be up here. One of you two guys would be up here by now.
The first three things were like, huh, what, I gotta work.